Hey everyone, Ian at TMB Trail Guide here, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through how we book accommodation on the Tour de Mont Blanc. So to start, I've got a couple windows open here. The first that you're seeing right now is our TMB Trek Planner, and this is the tool we personally use to plan out our TMB route each year because you can see live accommodation availability. The next page I'll show you, this is the Montour du Mont Blanc site. So this is sort of the official website of the Association of Refuges along the Tour du Mont Blanc. So this has most, but not all, of the refuges that are along the route on it. Now, this site was redone in the fall of 2025. It did not go well. There were lots of errors and lots of issues. So we're recording this in January of 2026, and the site is working just fine now. So still some occasional funkiness, which we'll look at, but overall works really well. All right, the next page I want to show you, this is the website for Refugio Bonatti, which is one of the refuges along the route in Italy, very popular refuge. And the reason I want to highlight Refugio Bonatti is that it is an independent refuge, meaning that it is not on the Montour du Mont Blanc site. And it has what I call just like a booking form. So it does not have like an online booking system. So the way you have to book Refugio Bonatti is basically fill out this form on their website with some basic information, your ideal dates, what type of room you'd want, and then you just submit it. And it's really just a waiting game to hear back from them. So there's no way to sort of book your bed at a refuge like Refugio Bonatti directly. You have to hear back and confirm it with refuge staff. So you'll find that at a few refuges along the route. The other page I want to show you is another independent refuge. So this is for Refuge Lac Blanc. And this is an independent refuge, so it's not on the Montour du Mont Blanc site. But what they have is a direct booking platform on their website. So what you'll see here is just a calendar for July of 2026. And you'll see it's really crystal clear each day of the month. They'll even tell you how many beds they have left. And then if there's no information for a given day, it just means they're fully booked for that day. So those are kind of the three main situations you'll see for refuges. So they'll either be on the Montour du Mont Blanc site, they'll be independent and you'll have to just contact them to get availability, or they'll be independent and they'll let you book directly on their website without having to contact them. Now, that's really just for the refuges. Of course, there are hotels and other private accommodation along the route. Those all will have their own website, as well as be on many of the hotel aggregator sites, Expedia, Booking.com, things like that. So what you'll find is it's a little disjointed when you go to book your accommodation. So what I'm going to do here is go back to our TMB Trek Planner and just show you how this sort of makes it a little bit simpler to book your accommodation. So to start, you would just enter some basic details about your trip. We're going to ask for a name and your start date. I'm just going to put July 15th of 2026. So I'm recording this in January. So a lot of people would consider this sort of a late time to be booking your accommodation, but I think it's better. It gives you a sense of how this tool works to help you book your accommodation. Then it's going to ask you the number of days you plan to spend on the trail. So this includes rest days. Let's say I'm going to spend 11 days on the trail. It's going to ask me which direction I want to hike. We'll just go with anti-clockwise, which is sort of the traditional direction. And then the app is going to go ahead and prompt you to select your starting point on the trail. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to say we're starting in Les Houches. That's the most common start point. And I'm just going to pick the trailhead in Les Houches, which is where the little welcome arch is and sort of the most popular place to start your trip. So I'll set that as my start location. And then what I'm going to do is over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and turn on this accommodation availability. And what that is going to do is show you sort of live accommodation availability along the route. And it's going to show you that for the first night on your trail. So you'll remember we said we're starting on July 15th. So what you'll see here is it's got availability shown for the night of July 15th. Anything red is going to confirm that it's available. Or anything green is going to confirm that that night is available. If it's red, it's fully booked. And if it has this kind of gray color, like you'll see on a couple of these, that just means there's no data available. So you would need to confirm directly with that provider. And so what this does is gives you a really easy visual way to see places that have availability and let you sort of book using that as your tool. So right away, I know I want to stop in Les Contamines on this first night. That's sort of the traditional first stage. So I'm just going to zoom in here and I'll see there's a number of possibilities that are green. I can click on them to get a little more information. I can see hotels. La Ferme à Prion is on the Montour du Mont Blanc site. So you'll find some images there and I can take a look and see what might work. So let's say I wanted to book Chalet de Contamine on this night. I can just simply select this book now link. And what this will do is open that refuges booking page. So Chalet de Contamine is part of the French Alpine Club. So they have booking directly on their website. What I would just do here is fill out my information. So let's say I have 2 people. This will load a calendar. I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward to July. So here's July, and I wanted to stay on the 15th, and I can see right here, yep, there's availability on the 15th. So I would just select that and then go through the booking process directly on their website. Now, if I go back to the TMB Trek Planner here, let's say I got that booking confirmed. I'll go ahead and just say select that as my endpoint. And what will happen is the map is going to automatically update, show me my route for that day. And then if I scroll down here on the left in the itinerary summary, I can see the distance and elevation gain. I can put that in kilometers or miles. And then if I've gone ahead and made that booking, here in the booking section, I can just go ahead and say it's booked, confirm that. And then what I would do is just go ahead and continue to the next day. So what's going to happen then in the TMB Trek Planner is the availability is going to continue to show, but you'll see that the night has changed, and now we're looking at availability for July 16th. So let's say for day 2, I'm going to Les Chapeaux, which is the common sort of second night on the TMB. And what you'll see as I zoom in here is that there is no green accommodation sort of in or around Les Chapeaux. So the 2 options in town, Auberge de la Nova and Les Chambres de Solier, both are red, fully booked, not surprising since we're doing this in January. But what I would do here then is sort of zoom out and look down in Bourges Sainte Marie, where you'll see there are a couple of green options. So this is the common place that TMB hikers would go if there's no availability in Les Chapeaux. So what I'll see here is that there is availability at Base Camp Lodge, one of the popular places to stay. I can go ahead and select Book Now. What that will do is just open the booking website for Base Camp Lodge. And if I go through to see availability here, I would simply select July 16th and 17th. You can see that's already done. I can see they've got a number of different room types available. I would just find which suits me, book that here, come back into the TMB Trek Planner, go ahead and select that as my endpoint. The system is going to go ahead and show me the route to that accommodation. Now this includes the bus, which is shown in light blue here since there's no hiking route between the 2. And then I can just come over here and go ahead and say booked. My accommodation is now booked for that evening. All right, let's go ahead and continue to the next day. So I'll just select that. And now what you'll do, or what you'll see is we're crossing into Italy on stage 3. And let's say I was interested in staying at Refugio Elisabetta, which is this point here. And what you'll notice is Refugio Elisabetta is gray. So that means we just don't have the availability information. They don't make that publicly available. So they may have beds, they may not. We just don't know. So that's a nice place to stay and split it up. So in this case, what I would do is go ahead and visit their website. And then you would just go ahead and fill out their booking form to see if they have availability. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the contact page. This is where you would fill in your request and information, you would submit it, and then just wait to hear back from them on whether or not they would have availability for you. So if I go back to the Trek Planner, I'll go ahead and select that as my endpoint. And for my accommodation for this evening, I'm going to go ahead and say pending because we're not sure if they'll have availability or not. All right, let's go ahead and continue to the next day. So now, again, this is the next night. So we're going to be viewing availability now for July 18th. And what you can see, most people would end this day in Courmayeur. I can see there's a number of places that are available, as well as some that are sold out and a few that we don't have information for. But what I'm going to do here is go ahead and look at Refugio Bertone, which is up past Courmayeur, and one of the refuges that's on the Montour du Mont Blanc site. So it's showing as green, which means they have availability. So let's say I wanted to stay there. I'm going to go ahead and say book now. All right. And what that's going to do is go ahead and open the refuge page for that specific refuge on the Montour du Mont Blanc site. So you can see we're now here. And what I'll do is just scroll down, and you can see they've got this helpful calendar, which shows you green days that are available. And then generally red or yellow mean they don't have any beds available. So we were looking for July 18th. So I'm going to go ahead and find that date on their little calendar here. I'll click July 18th. And then it will typically ask you to set some preferences, which you can see over here in the right-hand side. So that's going to be the number of people, what type of accommodation you want. I almost always select both private room and a bed and dormitory, just because typically I want to see any beds that they would have available. And then that will bring up the booking page. You can see we're for July 18th still. And as I scroll down, you'll see all the different types of beds they have available. And here it looks like we got a little lucky. There's only one bunk bed available. So one single spot in the whole refuge that night. So I would go ahead and select that, click the book button. And then one tip for the Montour du Mont Blanc site that I have not done here is I have not logged in. So you want to be logged in and have your account created before you go through your booking. And look at that, it did actually log me in, because otherwise it just takes some time, and you can see they only give you 30 minutes to sort of finalize your bookings. So what you'll see next on this page is that it's going to go ahead and suggest some additional accommodation sort of further ahead on the trail for you for the following night. So you can see, again, choose your accommodation for the 19th of July, and it's going to show me some options that are full or available. This can be a little overwhelming if you're not exactly sure where you want to stay. So I personally don't use this a ton. What I would do here is just keep this in my cart. I go back to the Trek Planner. I'd go ahead and say select endpoint. You'll see that's going to create the route on the map there. And then I would just continue to my next day, and I can see availability for July 19th. And so what I would do on this day, depending on where I wanted to go, what you'll see is a lot of these options are fully booked. So that red one, so Chalet Belfray has no availability. Alpage de la Puelle has no availability. And if I went back to the Montour du Mont Blanc site, I would see that here. So we looked at Chalet Belfray. I can see the hut is fully booked, and that's why it's going to continue to suggest other options. We looked at Alpage de la Puelle, also fully booked. So I think it's a lot easier to look at it on our map and be able to see that. So what I can see here is that there is a little green option further along the trail, and this is Refugio Elena. Now, Refugio Elena is an independent refuge, but they do have direct booking on their website. So we'll just show you this as sort of one final example. So if I wanted to stay there on the night of the 19th, I'm going to go ahead and say book now. And this is just going to go ahead and bring up the Refugio Elena booking page. Go ahead and select my check-in date. This was for the 19th. I'm going to check out the 20th. I'm saying I'm just one guest. It'll ask you if you want to stay overnight or have half board. Half board is just that you'll get dinner in the evening and breakfast the next morning. Go ahead and check availability. And I will go ahead to look and confirm what that availability is here. I can see they have a double bed in the dormitory, or excuse me, a single bed in the dormitory. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my booking. You can see that show up here, and then I would just book now and go ahead and complete that process. Come back to the Trek Planner. I'm going to select that as my endpoint. And then once that's updated on the map, I would just come down here and confirm that that is in fact booked. And then what you can see here is that as you're exploring options, you'll see sort of the real-time distance and elevation gain updated. So you can kind of see, is that day too far for me? Is that day going to be too short? Sort of based on what accommodation is available. So we think it's super helpful here in the TMB Trek Planner, and it sort of brings all these sort of disparate sources into one interactive map. It makes it really easy to find your accommodation. So hopefully you found that helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're always happy to help.